Austin real estate is a disaster right now. And if you're moving to Austin, you probably want to know about it. And if you're already living in Austin, you're probably thinking, well, what in the world is happening and why? So there's so much to talk about. I wanted to take some time and just kind of dive right into the meat of it. As a realtor, I'm I'm always seeing this day in and day out with my clients. You have all these jobs that are coming here that are big companies hiring lots of people. You also have people that are relocating to improve their qualities of life. They're escaping a situation or they see an opportunity here and they just want to flock here. And the issue with that is you have a lot of people that have cash and a lot of people that don't, and everybody still wants to buy to take an opportunity. Take advantage of this opportunity that is low interest rates and a fairly inexpensive market across the US when you're comparing across the other places in the United States. So I think the best way to break this down is to talk about the different types of people and what and how it's impacting each one. So let's start with first-time home buyers. Let's say you're looking to buy a home, probably a resale home, right? And you're putting in an offer or you're coming in town to look at houses and put in offers, but every single house that goes on the market within 2 or 3 days ends up in multiple offers. It's really hard when you know that you have to have a down payment, you have to have closing costs, and sometimes you even have to have an appraisal waiver. So I'll give you an example. I have some clients that we put in an offer on a Thursday night. We went 30,000 over asking price, over the list price. We put 20% down. We did a partial appraisal waiver, which means we were going to bring some more money. Like we're 50,000, more than 50,000. Gosh, we're 100,000 in at this point. Total out of pocket expense. We're 100,000 in at this point, and we were still like bottom third for that offer out of 15 offers that came in. How do you compete with that? I don't think when people are coming in, they really understand the severity of the situation. They're coming in and they might have a pre-qual letter, or they're not sure if they want to do an appraisal waiver. I haven't even heard of an appraisal waiver. Listen, this is serious business in this market right now. The interest rate is just ridiculously low right now. I see 2.5% interest rates on loans regularly. So let's say you were buying a $650,000 house, right? The payment on that today, if you were to go back a year ago, a $600,000 house would have the same payment. That's a $50,000 difference, and you're still, people just, aren't able to wrap their heads around that concept, and the ones that are like, oh my gosh, I should probably buy now. So then you have these people that are coming in from California, New York, Florida, Colorado, and they're thinking, I just sold my house, my 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $1.3 million. I'm going to come here and pay cash for 2. Well, that's who you're going against when you're trying to buy your first home. People who are maybe not in the same financial situation are deciding to wait 6 months and rent, or maybe a year and rent until they can get themselves into a better financial situation and buy then. Okay, so that's first-time buyers in a resale. Well, let's talk about if you're going to go to a new construction instead. Maybe that's a better route, right? So I have some clients that have been looking at houses for a little while, and it was back in June, and they looked at a house and they said, this is perfect, but they were a little hesitant, and so they waited. And just last week, we started talking a lot more heavily about getting them moving forward. Well, the same house 3 months ago today was $30,000 more just because of some arbitrary situation. And well, it's not arbitrary. There are a lot of things going on. There are rising lumber costs. There's an election. There's a pandemic. There are all these things that are causing a little bit of uncertainty in the market. And so builders, they're cashing in. They know the inventory is low, and they know that people are moving here, so they know that people want to buy. Builders are in such a good situation, they don't have to give you any incentives. They don't have to give you a fridge, a garage door opener if they don't want to, nothing. They don't have to pay for your title because there's such high demand. In fact, builders are at the point right now where they are, for every house they sell, a lot of them, for every house they sell, they're increasing the sales price for the next house by like $5,000. And people are still paying for it. And if you're an investor and you just want to have a rental house in a community, builders are at liberty to just say, no, we're not dealing with investors, because there's so much demand from actual families that are looking to buy. So I want to circle back around to people that are renting right now, because I think this is a really good note. If you're renting and you realize that the prices are consistently rising, well, while you're waiting, you're actually losing purchasing power. Because in a year from now, you might not even be able to afford it. You don't know unless you're getting a raise at work or you're working extra hours. So that's one concern. And then another concern is, as a property owner or a landlord, they can raise the price whenever they want. And if you don't like it, someone else will buy it, or someone else will pay for it, because the demand is so high. So what if you own a home and you're seeing all these houses fly off the shelf and you want to sell yours? It sounds great, right? You're likely to get top dollar for your home, even more so if you have a realtor that can get a few extra thousand eyes on your house because they're really good at videos. The problem is, then where do you go? So if you're staying in the same market, like you're moving from Cedar Park to Liberty Hill, for example, or to Austin, you're going to face the same issues that the other buyers are facing. Now, if you are in another state and you're moving to Austin, but you have a home to sell, this is a whole other scenario. So what you really want to do is make sure your house there is already under contract before you put in an offer here. The reason why is, let's say a listing agent is reviewing an offer that you submitted on a Saturday. Your offer is $475,000, but you have to sell a house, and this other offer comes in cash for $450,000. Well, this is actually a more attractive offer. I know the numbers. You're like, oh, that's a little bit of money, but they don't have any certainty here because you still have to sell your house. If that buyer backs out, you're now a risk. You can back out, and then they lost that deal and wasted time. So getting your house under contract is puts you in a position of strength. There's so many other things that people are going through. We can't even fathom what's happening. There's a pandemic, right? It's costing people jobs. People are having situations paying their mortgage or having to furlough. I have a client who they have a house. They're not able to pay the mortgage, and they're like, listen, I don't want to hurt my credit. I don't want to go into foreclosure, so I need to sell this house. So of course, I have another investor client who had cash, and I made it work out. And so they're able to get their house taken care of and not have to worry about going into foreclosure. And then fast forward a year from now, will be in a better position because they never had that foreclosure on their credit. So they will be able to purchase a house. But again, you don't know what people are going through. So what can you do if you're looking to move to Austin and you want to be prepared? So if you're a first-time buyer, one of the most important things is to get a pre-approval, not a pre-qual, and get it from a local lender. It's free, it's quick. The reason why I say a local lender is because, again, a listing agent is looking at two offers. One is a lender that's here and available, and they can talk to them and have that discussion, or someone who doesn't know, who may not know the laws or the local market. And when you're comparing the two, you're going to say, I want somebody who is familiar with the area and familiar with the local regulations. So that's important. And also stay away from big banks. And the reason why I say that is they're notorious for missing deadlines because they do thousands of loans. So that's important. If a new build is your consideration, I want you to keep in mind that your payment, your down payment and your closing costs and all that, those aren't due until closing, which could be 6 months, 9 months away. So let's work together. Give me a call right away, and we can figure out what a good community is, what a good builder is for your situation, and then we can go from there. We can get you executed under contract. It might cost you $2,000 or $3,000 to start the process, and then you have time to come up with the additional funds. It could be 3 months, 6 months later. So we can work that plan together, and it puts you in a really good spot and you know when you're going to move in. If you're a seller, work with your realtor to create a plan, a transition plan, so you know in advance what's going to happen and where you're going to go. That's huge. But if you're in another state and you have a house to sell, work with the realtor here and they can create what's called an agency relationship, and we can be partners with the realtor in another state. And we can work with them to make sure that transition goes smooth and we're kept abreast of any changes, and that helps us when we're putting in offers here. So we have the confidence to say, you know what? Their house is already under contract. It's a very strong offer. Let's move forward with this one. It's a mutual win. If you're in a bind and things are just tough right now and you're trying to avoid foreclosure, listen, give me a call. We can just talk. But if you want cash, I can get you cash for your house within a number of days. And it might not be top dollar, but it would be cash in your hand and might put you in a better position, or your family in a better position, to move forward a few months down the line. If you're renting, I understand. But remember, owning a home is a great, stable way to build wealth for you and your family. And I think the question that I'd love to leave you with is, if not now, when? I know this has been a very tough love sort of conversation, but I'm here for you if you have any questions. I appreciate you subscribing. I'm Ian of Austin. Never forget it. Never regret it. I'll see you soon.